live. So good evening, it's Ondarian ASMR here, and you can't see me on camera, just whilst I do a quick little bit of channel admin. Just going to put this out there that I am on live on YouTube. Live. Learn to spell boy over on YouTube. Thing is, you can't do this sort of tweet until you've actually I'm now live over on YouTube, so please do come and join in the chat. Thank you, and have a good time of day wherever you are. And a couple of smiley face emojis. Would help if I put in the link as well. There we go. Make sure that's the right one. There we go. Yes. And just send it to some friends. And the thing is, I like to send, you can hear me but you can't see me at the moment, which is fine, but I like to send out messages and to my friends whilst they're live. Okay, so I am going to move the top chat out of, let's see, pop out chat, so I can see it as it goes live. I use OBS Streamlabs for live streaming, so okay. We are underway. Perfect. Something's happened. I've lost my top chat. Helps if you don't hit the wrong button whilst you're trying to. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. There we go. Worst things happen at sea. There we are. Okay, so what's the plan of action for tonight? Well, I'm going to obviously be chatting away. Do join in with the chat screen. I'm going to move that side. I'm going to do something I don't normally do, which is I'm going to move my screens around so that I can, my desktop screens, that is, not my literal computer screens. There we go. I can now see the top chat from YouTube on the screen I have better view of. So I'll expand that. Okay. So, plan of action for this evening. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking you actually have a plan for this evening? Well, as a matter of fact, I do, and it's... He says still fiddling about with his screens. Silly boy. There we go. Yes, I do have a plan of action, and it is, well, you can see it here. In front of me I have, oh no, this isn't working. The live stream's working, but not my plan of action. So we'll go back to that setup. Okay. Right. Okay, so some of you will know I'm a Warhammer 40,000 player. I've kind of got back into painting models recently, and I've kind of been working on a few. You probably won't see them very well because the focus on this camera isn't very good, but that is a Inquisition Crusader, which is actually for a Imperial Guard army. I have posted clearer photos on my Instagram, so we've got that. I'm also working on well, these are going to count as my Verven Hive. I'm doing a Verven Hive Tanith first and only Verven Hive Guard army, and I'm using Necromunda. These are metal Necromunda miniatures, so they're the old metal miniatures. So I've also got work in progress. He's currently base coated in brown Colonel Schaefer, because I've got Necromunda models that are going to represent Schaefer's last chances. So Colonel Schaefer, and of course here's a couple of the I can never remember the houses. I think this is a House Isha Necromunda miniature. It's metal again, and I believe, and I'm sure anyone who plays Necromunda will correct me, I want to say House Cawdor, and these are still very much work in progress for the paint jobs. Oh, there's one with blue hair. As I say, all still very work in progress, and as I say, they're blurry on screen because my camera doesn't focus so well on small things. But that's all right. That's all right. We work with what we have. So the other one that I kind of have completed is my Sisters of Battle Hospitaller, who will be my army's command squad medic, and obviously won't be usable in tournament games, but I don't play tournament games, so and she's obviously got purple. I tend to use a lot of purple in my models. My Space Marine chapter is purple with white, blazing orange and gold. There's no blazing orange on this model or any of the other models, well, apart from the hair on the one I just showed you. That's using blazing orange. But I thought today we might do something a little more robust, a little more interesting than miniatures. Oh, and just to prove that I do have them, he's undercoated with black at the moment, but I do have the original metal Gaunt Ghost miniatures. So I do have the original, I want to say 3rd edition Gaunt Ghost miniatures. They'll be interesting to paint, because I've also got Bryn Milo, who isn't in the new plastic set actually. Bryn Milo isn't featured in the new plastic Gaunt Ghost set, which is a sad thing, because it's a nice model. It is a nice model. And of course Colm Corbeck with his sniper rifle, or his extended las gun. I can never remember the name of the one with the plasma gun, but one there with a plasma gun. I need to get some more las snipers to build up to make the Tanith a bit more Tanith. At the moment, most of the plastic kits are a combination of Catachan and Cadian, and of course, again, I can't remember his name, the medic who features in the book as well, in the books as well. I'm sure people will remind me as I go along. I have read the novels by Dan Abnett, and it was either going to be a Gaunt Ghost Vervenhive army, or a Tanith First and Only, Tanith First and Only Vervenhive army, which is what I'm doing, or a Blood Pact army, which is the Khorne support worshippers in the novels. So I went for Tanith First and Only because I thought they were the better idea and the easiest one to go with, because obviously Imperial Guard are a thing. So we've got a squadron of 3 Sentinel Walkers. In the game you have a squadron of 3. They're armoured Sentinels, and think of them like the sort of, if you're into Star Wars, they're very much like the ATSTs in Star Wars, but smaller, and they only have 1 gun. They can be armed with different weapons. For this model, for this unit, I've armed them with las cannons. Now, often they are open-topped. They're known as Sentinel Scout Walkers. These are armoured Sentinels, so they're a bit heavier. And I wanted that because Vervenhive is an industrial forge world, and I thought, let's be honest, and this is how I thought, let's be honest with ourselves. Vervenhive probably wouldn't use Scout Walkers. They will probably use a lot of heavy machinery and heavy defence. So I thought long and hard, and I decided to go with well, what you see before you. So let's get started. I'm using Vallejo style paints. This one's seen a lot of use. This is Jet Exhaust Burnt Iron. So we'll use this one first of all. So I use like a paint palette, and I am very unorthodox in the way I paint. Sometimes I use an airbrush, but obviously I haven't got that out today, so we just go straight in. And this is like an equivalent of tin bits. Now you'll note that I tend to use the old Games Workshop names. for paints, because that's how I remember them. I've never really... I'm an old school Games Workshop player. So, here we go. Now, sometimes these will go out of shot, but you'll be able to hear me talking, but we will do our best to try and keep them so you can see where it's going on. It is quite dark, which is what we want. It's also quite thin, which is quite nice. And obviously I do what's known as layering, which means I paint one colour, allow them to dry, and then... So that's what it's sort of starting to look like. It is a metallic colour. I'm sure I've got my kitchen towel so that I can... Where did I put my kitchen towel? Always have a bit of kitchen towel to clean up the brush. One moment. There we go. I'll put that down there beside me. So I'll try not to keep this out of shot for too long. If I do have to take it out of shot, that's because I'm working on detail, detailing, like the Imperial Aquila, and some bits and pieces require a bit of close up. But at the moment, we're not doing too badly. And of course, because these are partially articulated, you can... Now, I'm not painting the plastic straight away. These are undercoated with a grey primer that I just bought in a... I can't remember the actual make or name of the grey I used. But it was a cheap primer that did its purpose. It undercoated a lot of... the metal miniatures, I did a couple of different coats of different colours and shades. So as you can see, that is beginning to take on the colour quite nicely. I'm using... I don't actually use tank brushes or things like that. This is actually a shade brush that I'm using. I find it's... I don't use the brushes for their conventional purposes, because 9 times out of 10 I see them as the brushes they were. This, for me, would have been a... You know, when I last played the game, would have been a tank brush. And one of the glaze... I think it's the glaze brush, would have been for me a detail brush. Yeah, the glaze brush and the layer brush would have been detail and fine detail. So I tend to use them for that rather than... Not to say I don't use them for their you know, their actual purposes, but let me just get a little closer to the mic. Hopefully you can still hear me. So we can start manoeuvring that back, because we've done the underside. And you don't want the paint too watered down, because as soon as you start to water it down, it starts to run, and we don't want that. We don't want that. Las Cannon painted. What I like about these new models is that the barrels of the guns in the game are... You used to have to bore them out with a drill, with a Dremel or a hand drill, and it was an absolute nightmare to do. So the fact that they now mould them with barrels already drilled out makes it so much more sort of, yeah, so what we're doing here is what's known as base coating, and some base coats I don't think you get a lot of metallic base coats these days. I think a lot of them are, but I like a good metallic base coat for vehicles, because I think it, especially for the theme that I'm going with this particular unit. So that's beginning to look okay. We can sort of get away with getting paint around the feet, because I'll be basing that with I'm going to take these headphones off because they're not doing me any good. I'm just getting an echo, so it's better that I don't. We need to do the top of the las cannon. Some people put on there what's known as a multi-laser, but in the game they don't have as much strength as a las cannon. Kind of wish they'd do a twin link las cannon, you know, one on each side for the Sentinel, armoured Sentinel, but it doesn't always work out that way. But what I like about these models are they have a large base to work from, so you know you can keep your fingers out the way as much as possible. Might need to have a bit more paint shortly, which is fine because we've got 3 of these to do. Hi Mashik, thank you for joining. Just doing something a little different for tonight's entertainment. I hope you're doing well. I hope you've had a good week as well, you know, and keeping busy and active and all that, you know. I truly hope you have had a good week indeed. Sorry I'm not actually looking at the camera, but you know, I wanted to focus on what I was doing this week. I did this on Saturday just gone, and it proved quite popular. But yes, I honestly hope you had a good week and things are, you know, going okay. So we're nearly done with this one for the base coat. Not quite there yet. Might need to just add a little bit of water. Sometimes you do have to thin it down a little bit just to get the maximum coverage once it starts to slowly lose its and obviously because we don't want to touch where we've already painted, with the base coat. Yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. Finally getting the support I need to find another job. Obviously, so that's something. Back at the job centre, thankfully. But hopefully this time round, I'll be able to find something that's actually better suited for my working style and practices. I have a very I need rigidity, rigidity and stability more than anything. Where did I put that colour? There you go. All done with one hand. No, where was I? Oh yes, so things are beginning to balance out again and stabilise. So I'm happy. Things are moving forward, and that's always a good sign. Always a good sign. But been keeping busy, what with model making and painting and writing and anything like that. So it's still got some blank areas. As I say, sometimes it'll go out of. Yes, yeah, it is. It is pretty good news, really. I kind of been in a bit of a decline, really. I mean, not that I've let it show. I've felt like I've been in a bit of a decline recently. I've started going back out on a Thursday evening, which is good, because obviously I was indoors too much before that, and obviously with my health, I lost out on quite a period of time that I wasn't going out socially, so it does make a difference to be able to return to sort of normal social activities. And as I say, I've still got Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. They keep me going. So there's the first Sentinel Walker in its metallic paint. I'll do the second one next, because that needs time to dry. But as you can see, every time I look anyway, I see a bit of grey come through, because these are base coated with grey. I didn't want to use a black or white spray paint. I wanted it, because if I did it with a black spray paint, this metallic colour would have come out too dark. if I'd done it with a white spray paint, the metallic colour would have come out looking blotchy. Grey is my personal colour of choice. So this one has a searchlight on its cockpit as well, so that will need to be looked at. That will need to be painted specifically in a certain colour scheme. So we sort of, and I can see it's drying, and because some of the grey shows through, that actually helps with the painting process, because it also sort of helps to I kind of got back into this a few weeks ago and decided I wanted to sort of return to my model making roots and start something that I didn't finish a long time ago, which was my Gaunt's Ghosts army. And so I've already used this sort of colour before on some models for this collection, as I'll call it. A while ago, I did a unit of, like, for want of a better term, they're called ogrins, but they're basically space ogres. I used this sort of tin dark metallic colour as their base coat. So if you look, you can now see the difference, and I've got a bit of paint on my fingers. What a surprise! That's the only problem with these. No matter how much you sort of build them up, they're always very they have to be sort of flexible for storage purposes. See, these cables will all be painted different colours, and they'll have ink washes and but every time I look, I see something else coming through that looks grey. So see, that's what's known as touch dry now, which means I can actually put my finger on it, and, you know, my hands on it, and not have paint transfer to them, so that's touch dry. And these being water-based acrylics, they are very quick drying, which is nice. So we're just gonna use the tip of the end of the brush to try and oh, hi Marigold, thank you for joining. Yes, I'm having a rather nice Friday evening, thank you. Yes, and I hope you've had a good week and that your Friday night is going well. Also, you know, thank you for being here. So, you know, I genuinely hope that everything is going as well as they ought to be, and rightly so, and rightly so. So I'm going to add a bit more of this stuff. For anyone who's interested in watching this back, this is Jet Exhaust Burnt Iron by a company called MigJimenez.com. They come in the same sort of pots as Vallejo paint and Game Colour, which I've also got on this table here, Game Colour. I use a mixture of different... I don't use all Games Workshop paints. I do tend to use different companies and types of... Yeah. Well, not been as... I won't say it's been busy per se for me, but... I've kept myself active. I mean, 9 times out of 10 you will see me quite active on Twitter. Twitter's like my sort of one place that you'll see me on there a lot, and I mean a lot. Or Instagram. But mostly Twitter is like my second home. So we just obviously we'll go over the. You know, I've got a lot happening at the moment. What with the job search and my health, and finally getting the ball rolling to get the advice and support I need to find new work, what with, you know, being epileptic and that sort of thing. You know, I need to get some advice and guidance on that, so it helps to finally be able to know who I can talk to about it and get the advice and the knowledge I need. Because obviously, on top of all my other sort of situations, shall we say, I didn't really need this new situation, but you know, you learn to live with what goes on in your life. see, is there anywhere I've missed on the second one? Yes. Big patch of grey there. That's the thing, once you start spotting the patches, they appear everywhere. So there's the second one, and that one is now, yes, I can now handle that one. So there's the second one. Bring that one forward so you can see it. There's the second one, and now I will undercoat the third. These do use up a lot of paint, because obviously they're vehicles. When I come to paint the tanks for this army, for the game, I will use my airbrush. I will not be painting them by hand. They will be airbrushed. But these, I don't have too much of a qualm or an issue about painting them by hand. Yes, thank you, Miss Sheik. Yes, I kind of hope the job search. It's been a bit hit and miss lately, job searching, because obviously I don't know what I need to, how I need to approach epilepsy in the interview stages. You know, it's like, well, being autistic as well. You know, it's hard to know. It's still hard to know what to do in the sort of interview stages about that. And now I've got epilepsy on top of autism. You know, but you know, I've never let that hold me back, and I don't let it define me. The person you know is the person who I am, and you know, I don't let anything that tries to knock me back do that. You know, it's just a case of picking yourself up, brushing yourself off, and carrying on. I know that's not as easy for everybody, and I understand that, but for me, it's kind of the only way I'm able to look at it, because I've had so many knockbacks in my life anyway. So, you know, and I'm very big on talking about, if you're familiar with me on Twitter, which I know you are, Miss Sheik, I often talk about the things that sort of knocked me back when I was younger, and I'm a big advocate for mental health, and you know, getting the support you need to overcome the challenges that it can create. So it just, now whilst I'm painting these, the other thing you might notice is that as the paint dries, it gets darker. Hence, again, why I went for a grey undercoat. As I say, white just makes it look blotchy, and black undercoat would have made it look far too dark. So grey, I find for vehicles is a reasonable compromise for when painting these kind of models. Well, if the paint for these models is what's known as touch dry within 10 minutes, and that's usually the same with the aerosol spray paints for undercoating. They're touch dry within 10 minutes, which means you won't get any paint on your fingers, but for the best results it takes at least an hour for the paint to dry properly before you can actually get to this stage. And then once you've done this stage, which is the base coating of the primary colours, it usually is about, it's usually ready for the next coat in about 5 minutes. So this one I should be ready to do the next coat, or next colour very, very soon. So I mean, I took this particular hobby back in about 2000. Let's see, I reckon it must have been about 2004. No, slightly earlier than that, 2003. I turned 18 in 2002. I think I was about 19 when I took this up. So nearly, let's see, I'm 38 now. Might have been 18 actually. So we're talking about 20 years ago. But I kind of fell out of the hobby for a while, and the price. But I had all these models stored away in a box, and I just decided to put them all together and build them, because they use plastic glue, because they're plastic. These ones are metal. So these ones are all metal. So there are some that are made of resin. I have got a couple of resin models in my collection as well, but they are a bit more complicated to paint, because resin tends to soak up paint quite a lot. So oh, and he gets some on his fingers. So it depends on what you're painting as well. They do say with resin miniatures, and I did this, and it does work with resin models. Wash them in warm soapy water first, because it gets rid of the oils that build up in the resin, and it makes it, because it's the oils that prevent the paint from adhering to the miniatures. So as I say, these are plastic, so they're a lot more friendlier to paint. But the big problem is Games Workshop is so expensive now. It's ridiculous. I've got models in my collection from about 20 years ago or more, and because I bought some when I was a child, but I never built them. But the models that I have from my old collection are so much more expensive now, and yet the models I've got are metal. These new models are plastic, and yet they cost more than the miniatures I have from 20 years ago in metal. I mean, this character here cost me, the set I bought, I got him with 5 other figures. That cost me about £50, and it's white metal, what they call white metal. But for the plastic version, which has at least one less character, it's about £80. I mean, I'm sure there'll be people coming in saying, I don't know where you've seen that price, but I have seen that price for the Gaunt's Ghost models in plastic, which shocked me, because I didn't pay that much for the 6 models that I have in white metal. So that one is... no, it's not. So sometimes you'll see it disappear off screen if I have to do some fine detailing, but I will show you the fine detailing once I've done it. But it's just a case of finding the... Right, okay. Just making sure I get all the blank bits. And I say blank bits because that's where the paint hasn't hit, and it's left blank patches of grey, which we don't want. Okay, I'm happy with that now. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. No, I'm not. That's the problem when you're a model maker. That's the problem when you're a model maker. Or builder. You're always spotting... Right, we can wash that brush now. So, I've got a jar of water. Some kitchen towel. How's that one looking? Yeah, that's touch dry, so we can move that one out the way. Bring this one forward. Move that one there. Ooh, big patch of grey on its foot. Sometimes the paint separates and it doesn't always... that's another annoying thing for a model maker, that the paint sometimes separates and doesn't always adhere straight away to the model, so we're always having to sort of patch it up. There we go. There we go. And that one is fine as it is. Hopefully this light will also help. So next colour I'm going to use is a Games Workshop. So this was the one I used for the base coat. You can't read it, but it says Jet Exhaust Burnt Iron AMIG 187 for anyone interested. And for the next layer I'm going to use Games Workshop Citadel Colour. This is actually a base coat, so it's like a second base, and it's called Lead Belcher. What I used to call, basically what I knew as bolt gun metal. And I've got my brush. Bear with me. So this one I'm using a glaze brush, but I used to know it as a detail brush. So as you can see, well, not yet, but as you can see, I don't know how well you can see that. It's like a dark silvery colour. As I say, I used to know it as bolt gun metal. Actually, might want the shade brush. No, not the shade brush. I beg your pardon. Might want the layer brush. There we go. So next up, perfect. Now I've watered it down slightly. So this is a small brush that I used to know as the detail brush. So this one uses very delicate So there's one panel painted. Now I paint the panel with the Imperial Aquila, which I'll be painting a different colour later on. And anything that goes wrong, we can just go over again with the other paint. So there's no, as Bob Ross says, we don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents, and we learn to work with those accidents. So, you know. So there's the front and side panel, which has started to separate, so as it dries, which really we don't want. And then there's this panel here. Because I'm going to paint the rest of the cockpit a totally different colour. There's going to be different colours on this, but I wanted a dark base coat so that it would stand out once I start putting the other colours on it. And that was my lamp flickering. So if you notice that was that. Now this has a slightly different front panel, but we still treat it in the same manner as if it had a large Aquila on it, and this is why you'll see it go out of shot again, because I want to make sure I get this. I want to get this quite accurate. And neat. I mean, it took me years to hone my skills as a model painter. Years to hone my skills. Ironically, I have very little patience for anything else. But model painting is one of the few things that I actually have focus for, because I think it's therapeutic. It keeps my mind active. I'm not looking at a screen all the time. Yeah, I've got some silver paint on my hands. Yeah, that one's dry enough that I can do the next panel. If there's too much on your brush, just sort of knock it off. Yeah, it's been pretty bad here as well, weather-wise. It started raining heavily about 5 o'clock in my part of Britain, and it's been. I don't know if we've got the tail end of Hurricane Ian. I don't know if that's what it is, because I know that sometimes Britain does get not quite the hurricane winds, or storms, but we do get the rainfall off the Atlantic, and if it's hit Florida, it may have spread across the Atlantic a little bit, and we could have the tail end of the hurricane. So okay, that's the third one. Now, if I remember what colour I painted my Ogryns, I think I did them blue. So what I need is a mix of Imperial Blue from Game Colour. You can't see the label, but that's Imperial Blue. And I think I used some of the Games Workshop colour Enchanted Blue mixed together. So we'll make a shade blue. It's quite. Problem is this Enchanted Blue is quite old, so it's quite thick and coagulated. So yeah, I did thought I mean earlier on I thought I heard a rumble of thunder. I did thought I heard a rumble of thunder, but could have been. I mean, it could have been the neighbours pushing their bins down the driveway. But I don't know. All I know is it rained here quite heavily and got quite breezy. Got quite breezy indeed. Which isn't surprising with this time of year. I mean, we're coming into October tomorrow, so you know, spooky season has started, and you know, I'm looking forward to it. Oh, that's gorgeous. That is a gorgeous shade of blue. That is gorgeous. I'm happy with that. I am very happy with that. Even if I get one of these done tonight, at least it'll give you an idea of how I do it. So. And I'm painting straight onto the dark metal. Let's see how that looks. Oh yeah, I'm really happy with this shade I've made. Looks like, however, I've missed a piece of... No, I'll leave those panels because I can paint them a slightly different colour later, which would be nice. How long have we been going? Oh, just over the hour. Not too bad. Not too bad. And of course, where it goes into the crevices, we can tidy up with some ink wash later. So there's always opportunity to tidy up and hide all manner of calamity. Now this has come out of shot because obviously I need to do something that's really, really delicate. If you're wondering why I was making that noise, because I hit the... So there we go. Blue and metallic so far. This top bit here, where the windows are, I will paint a slightly different colour so that it stands out a bit more. And where that door is, I need to put some more metallic. So there's one, which I'll leave at a slight angle. I'll move the bottle of blue that I just used. Take that out so you can... Minnie, hello! Hello, lovely to see you. Oh, happy to have you here. How are you? How are you indeed? Hope you're doing well. I hope you had a a really, really good week. I think everyone in the chat so far has had an equally busy week. So you know, we're all doing well. And did I go over? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I just had to check my own painting, but I thought this week for the live I would indulge in a little bit of model painting, which is one of my hobbies, and I thought it might make a nice. It might make, instead of just me sitting in front of the camera talking, I could talk whilst I paint, because I focus much more when I paint. You know, just keeping myself busy whilst, as I said earlier, keeping myself busy looking for work. Thank you. I thought it would be. I did do one on Saturday. For about that went for about an hour, and I did it during the day. And it actually has made quite a nice video. Because and I thought, why not do it for live stream? I've got these model soldiers and things that I like to paint, and you know, it gives me something to do and something to focus on. Because obviously, as you know, I'm sort of still sort of here and there with the world, still looking for a job. Waiting to get some advice regarding my epilepsy, you know, in the workplace, and how it affects me as a person. I mean, you know, it hasn't changed me, to be honest. I'm still the same person, you know, and careful, shall we say. Well, yeah. How did that one go? Oh, I didn't punch around there, but I will. Okay. And don't put your brush handle in it, because you'll get a handful of paint. So there's number 2. Number 3 should be dry enough now that I can start doing, yeah, the blue on this one. And again, it's out of shot because obviously I've got to be quite delicate with it, so I need to get close. And I'm one of those model makers that don't go for regular colour schemes. I like to have my models stand out a bit more on the tabletop, because I think they, if you're gonna sort of get into this hobby, you know, that's what I love about this hobby. It's the creative side of it that I love. You know, the fact that I can paint these colours and no one can. There are some set colour schemes, but you know, making your own colour scheme is much more fun. Hopefully Amanda will join us as well at some point. I did message her to say I was live, so hopefully she will join soon. Go. Did I do the underside? No, I didn't. Now, here's the trick. Get the jet exhaust, and we just patch up anywhere that we've gone over in error. No. Oh, we haven't finished this one, but few bits we need to just patch up. There's definitely a bit here we need to patch up. On the door, there we go. There we go. Ooh. Oh, that reminds me. If anyone's watching this back, and obviously to everyone in the chat, I am doing a Halloween themed Favourite Triggers collaboration, which you may have seen me talk about on Twitter. Same as before, a 3 to 5 minute video, favourite Halloween based trigger, and I've just noticed this paint has all separated on the feet. There is so much grey on these feet. So yeah, you know, same sort of, you know, and if anyone has appeared before, you're welcome to join again. You know, join in again. Always happy to showcase current and new talent as well. So you know, do drop me a line. You'll find all my contact details on my profile, on my YouTube profile. So, you know, oh, and we've lost a radio mast, but that's okay. That's okay. They're not very, they're breakable anyway, but we've got a radio mast on there, so. And luckily it's not the lead Sentinel, so no major disaster to be had. We'll just let that dry whilst I fix up the other ones. In fact, to be honest with you, I've never been a fan of these. I mean, they've all got these radio packs on the side, so and these break off so easily anyway. I'm just going to break them off. People might think I'm crazy for doing that, but what works, works. And they're bound to break off at some point anyway, so we just paint over the stumps. Did I? No, I didn't. I did for that one. That's fine. You can indeed, Miss Chic. Yes, I'd be happy for you to include that. Indeed, absolutely. Obviously, once you've got it edited and you find the sort of piece that you think would fit okay, that's absolutely perfect. I haven't quite decided yet what I'm going to do for mine, because obviously I did something very, very different for the first one. I actually just did recording that I did of rain, as you know, which was very, very different. There we go. So we've now got sort of a dark bronze colour, silver and blue. So I've got to think of something to paint the front of and the door. go. I'm always happy for people to return and join again. You know, I've said it. The invitation to take part in any of my collaborations, whatever they may be, is an open one. You know, I say this so many times on Twitter. I never approach people. I am happier if they approach me. It makes things so much easier because the ball's in their court then. You know, they have control, and I'm happy with that. I'm absolutely happy with that. Well, I don't want to paint it green because there's a saying that says blue and green should never be seen. So I think we're going to go with warning panel yellow. Well, this is gold yellow by game colour. Gold yellow. It looks a bit brighter on camera, but it's sort of a darkish, some would probably call it sunflower yellow. It's not bright yellow. I have got a bright yellow as well. It's also quite, once you thin it down, it's quite, which is good because I want it to sort of look patchy in comparison to the blue. So I almost want it to look like a wash rather than an actual, you know, I want it to look like paint that's been worn off. So the fact that it's quite watered down is all right by me. So there's the bright yellow. Gonna water that down a bit more. We'll see if it goes onto the blue. We can just let it dry, or I can just let it dry, and I'll put it, give it some extra. See, it's gone into, see there, it's gone into the blue. So I will need to fix that once it's dry, which isn't a bad thing. We can work with that. We can fix that, or I can fix that anyway. So it's just a sign that the paint is too watery, but not. Well, that's true. I didn't think about it that way. Seaside vibes. yeah, you have a point there. Because my mum's very into sort of seaside and coastal stuff. And yeah, that's a very good point. Might be able to do something about that, you see, but the yellow base will help it. So let's see what this does first and see where we can take it. Oh oh dear, I've just realised what I've done. And I don't mean that in a bad sense. I do not mean that in a bad sense, but I've just realised the colour scheme I'm using. I've just tweaked what colour scheme I'm using. Oh dear. I'm going to carry on with it now. No matter what I do, I can't escape trains. The colour scheme I'm using is BR, British Rail, circa 1968 to 1989, I think. BR blue and warning panel yellow. Today's hello. Thank you for joining. We're painting models, and I've just realised I'm painting them in the colours of trains. Even though they're not trains, they're walking. They're basically walking tanks called Sentinels. But I've just realised the thing is, I've just realised I'm painting them, and I've just realised I'm painting them in BR blue, and what could be seen as BR blue with yellow warning panels. No, that yellow hasn't dried yet, so we can't fix that. That's going to take some time to dry. So, but some of the yellow has gone into the blue, but some of the yellow on this one has gone into the blue. So I need to. You can't really see it, but it needs to be dry before I can even get anywhere near sort of fixing it. But I can do some of the copper, the dark copper. Realised that there we go. So I'll fix the door. Still got the door on this one to do, and I've still got this one to do. So these will stand out on the tabletop. They will stand out quite a bit on the tabletop in a game. Because no one will be expecting them to be painted this colour scheme. It's amazing how the subconscious mind works. I was at my railway club last night and looking at BR Blue trains actually on in a magazine. So that's probably what triggered this colour scheme. Although there will be some red. There will be some red in here as well. So that's the second one. Just fix up that line. Just fix that bit up. We're not yet able to fix up the other bit, but we'll get there. We'll get there. However, there is a bit that I did miss, which goes around there. One moment, I'm going to sneeze. There we go. Sorry about that. So, yeah, you know, and what was I saying before I sneezed? I've, you know, been working on a lot of stuff as well. You probably see that I'm quite active on Twitter again. I've got time to be active on Twitter again, really. It is like a lifeline for me, sort of talking to different people and interacting and sharing ideas and projects. As you know, I've got several projects on the go at the moment, which I'm quite happy with, and you know, if anyone wants to, if anyone's watching this back and they decide to they want to take part in any of the projects I've got going, I will list them again on my Twitter feed. As I say, details of how to find me is on my profile of my channel. So, you know, if you enjoy what you see, please do consider subscribing. I don't say that very often. Although I do promote a lot of my own stuff, I don't often, because I think it's a personal choice. But you know, if you do like what you see, and you know you enjoy these live streams, please do consider subscribing, because I try to do these every week. There will be some weeks I won't be able to do it, like when I'm on holiday, in a few weeks, which I'm looking forward to. I'm going up to Warwickshire for a week. Going to do a day trip to Birmingham for the first time ever, and looking forward to that. Going up with my family, my parents and my sister wants to go shopping in Birmingham, so I've been looking at all the different sanctuaries, you know, like the Lego store and the video game stores and things like that, so I don't have to spend hours in the Primark there. So, you know, it'll be nice to get away for a week and see some different places for the first time. I have been to Stratford upon Avon before, but only sort of for a day. We're sort of in the locality of Stratford upon Avon. But yeah, you know, I'm looking forward to it. So I won't be active. Well, I will still be active, but I won't be around for a live stream that week. So that's looking good. That's looking good. I keep seeing, because I've also got the live stream on my computer, I keep seeing my hand move, and I keep thinking about, I keep thinking someone's posted something, but it's my hand moving up and down rapidly. Was that the one I messed up? What's the one I messed up? Ah, this is the one I messed up, I think. Yeah, there we go. And obviously any little mistakes I just tidy up as I go. Yeah, so things are... Don't you just sometimes feel like when you start saying something, you feel like you're about to go into a big circle and just repeat yourself? That's something I have noticed myself doing a lot more since I became unemployed. I guess it's just, you find that conversation to a degree becomes, when you're at home on your own sort of during the day, you kind of lose the art of conversation, and I'm kind of feeling that. You know, I'm sort of repeating myself a lot, and it becomes difficult, as it were. And right, what's next? What shall we do next? I think we'll take some... Well, first of all, I think I'll tidy up the... So lead belcher. No, that's the wrong base. Ah, lead belcher. There we go. There we go. Let me just fix up anything where metal has sort of in time I will paint the barrels of the las cannons, but for now I want to get the base detailing sorted. I probably won't finish these tonight, to be honest with you, but I think that they're making good progress. I'm trying to think what else I can do. How long have we been going? Warhammer 40,000. I've sort of recently got back into painting them. These are called Sentinel, armoured Sentinels. I used to play it a lot. It's a tabletop game that involves dice. Where is it? That's the codex for it. Let me move it around. That's the rule book. That's the codex for the army that they belong to. Also known as Imperial Guard. I've got several books on a shelf. Sort of on this bookshelf here, sort of a bit further up. So, but I've got a lot of old rule books for it. So, as I say, I probably won't finish these tonight because obviously the light isn't all that good, but I paint better in a natural light. So, as I say, I probably won't get these finished tonight. In fact, I think we've been going for the 2-hour mark, so I think we'll give it a little bit longer. I want to paint. No, that's wet. So we'll paint this one first. And I like painting the vehicles in the game because they've got nice flat surfaces. Whereas a lot of the other models are a bit more complicated to paint because they're quite small, but these I can really get my teeth into the colour scheme. And this is sort of a very traditional Warhammer 40,000 colour scheme. From the sort of late 80s, early 90s, so it's sort of a pastiche, tribute to the old times. And I wanted to do these in a sort of classic colour scheme, because I think it's a nice little nod towards the past, but also a nod to the future as well. You know, it keeps things moving forwards. And sometimes I have dried these with a hairdryer as well, just to speed it up. But that's if I needed to paint models quickly. 9 times out of 10, I will take my time and paint them up properly. Do, 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 do. Dee, 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 dee. I often find myself whistling when I paint. Because this isn't it probably is a bit monotonous to watch, I admit, but spread that out a bit so it can dry a bit quicker. Bright red now, because base coats don't take very long to. This is a lot thinner than. I think we can straighten with this one. We'll see how much brighter it is. that one I've treated like a ink wash, so that it dries a bit brighter. That one's still taking its time to dry. How's that one looking? That's taking its time to dry as well. Let's let that dry. I'm thinking I might let these dry overnight as they are, and perhaps do... See, that's ready now. That is definitely ready. Yes, it is. I'm thinking I might leave these to dry overnight as they are, and then perhaps do another live stream tomorrow. If anyone, possibly a daytime live stream like I did last week, or another evening live stream, because these do need... I do like to let certain layers settle overnight. So I think I will just do this. I'll just finish off these las cannons. Then obviously anything that went wrong tonight I can fix tomorrow once it's dry. So I think this will be the perfect... How long will we go? Just over the 2 hour mark. So that's good. That's good. Then people can join me tomorrow and see the next steps as they dry. Once they've dried. No, I will probably do an evening one anyway, because I like the evening ones. My mum will have Strictly on tomorrow night anyway. There's never really anything on. Ooh, that needs fixing up. So I will probably look... It's more convenient for me as well, to be honest. So I will probably look at doing an evening one anyway. I will mention on Twitter tomorrow that I'm doing one. I think I will refer to this one as part 1. There we go. There. I think all in all, we'll leave it at that. I'm just going to check that the chat is still accessible for those who want to see it when they come back. And I will Yep, I think I will call it a night for now, let them dry and do all the fixing up that I need to, and then we can finish them tomorrow night. So I will see you then. Thank you very much for joining, and I hope you have a good night, or whatever time of day it is for you, and all the best. Thank you for joining me, and see you tomorrow night. Thanks very much.